Captain Jarek stood tall in the middle of the ceremony hall. Bright lights flickered above him, and rows of high-ranking officers clapped slowly. Jarek had just returned from a dangerous mission on the edge of known space. He had led a small team into the ruins of an ancient alien city, recovered valuable data, and destroyed a hidden enemy base. The mission was dangerous and nearly impossible, but Jarek had succeeded. Now he was being honored for his bravery. An officer stepped forward, holding a small glowing box. Jarek expected a medal, or maybe a promotion, but the officer didn't. Hand him the box. Instead, he pointed to the side. 2 guards stepped in, and between them was a tall figure in chains. Jarek's eyes widened. It was a woman. Not human, but alien. Her skin was a pale blue, and her long silver hair hung over her shoulders. Her eyes were glowing violet, and even though her hands were bound, she held her head high. "This is Kayla," the officer said loudly. "A captured member of the Zentari resistance. A rare and valuable prisoner. She is yours now, Captain Jarek. A reward for your great service." The room clapped again, but Jarek didn't smile. He looked at Kayla, who didn't flinch or bow. Her eyes met his, full of fire and pride. She was not afraid. Later that night, Jarek sat in his quarters. Kayla was in the room across from his, guarded and locked. He had not spoken to her yet. He stared at the report on his datapad. Species Zentari. Status enemy. Known for rebellion and psychic resistance. He sighed. "This isn't right," he muttered to himself. "She's not a thing to be given away," but the reward was already official. If he refused her, it would be seen as an insult to the high command. Still, something didn't feel right. He walked over to the small window between the rooms. Kayla was sitting on the floor, her arms still in cuffs, but her posture was calm. Her eyes were closed and she was breathing slowly. Jarek spoke through the intercom. "You understand me?" Kayla opened one eye and looked at him. Then she nodded once. "I'm not your enemy," Jarek said. "I didn't ask for this." She didn't reply, but he saw her expression change, just a little. She wasn't angry, just tired. He tapped the glass. "What did they do to you?" Still no answer. Jarek sighed and left. But that night he couldn't sleep. Something about her stayed in his mind, not just her appearance or her silence, but her eyes. Eyes that had seen war, pain, and chains. The next day he brought food to her room himself. The guards tried to stop him, but he overruled them. He walked in slowly, keeping his hands where she could see them. "I brought food," he said. Kayla stared at him. He placed the tray on the table and stepped back. "No tricks. I just want to talk." She looked at the food, then at him. "Why?" she asked. Her voice was quiet but strong. It was the first word she had spoken to him. Jarek shrugged. "Because I don't like prisoners. And I sure don't like being given people as rewards." Kayla stood up, chains clinking softly. "I am not a reward," she said. "I know," he said quickly. "I know." She walked over and looked at the food. "You expect me to eat this?" "It's safe," he said. "You can scan it if you want." She raised her eyebrow. "You expect me to believe a human?" Jarek gave a small smile. "No, I expect you to believe what your eyes tell you. Scan the food." She did. After a moment, she picked up the fork and began to eat. Slowly, carefully, watching him the whole time. "I'm Jarek," he said. "Captain, born on Mars, raised on Europa. You?" "Kayla," she said. "Daughter of Virel, of the Zentari Flame. That sounds important. It was." They spoke for a few more minutes. Just simple words. No deep talks, no trust. But it was a start. Over the next few days, Jarek visited Kayla often. He learned more about her people. The Zentari were proud and powerful, but they were being hunted, enslaved, and broken by the stronger galactic powers. The war was cruel, and Kayla had been captured during a failed peace mission, not a battle. She wasn't a soldier. She was a scholar, a teacher, a leader's daughter. That made Jarek even more uncomfortable. He started asking questions to his commanders. Why was she captured? Why was she not listed as a diplomat? The answers were always vague. She's dangerous. She's a liar. She's a tool. But Jarek didn't believe them anymore. One evening, he found her staring out the window of her small room. He stepped inside quietly. "You miss your home?" he asked. She nodded. "My people, my sky, my voice. They tried to take it all. You speak now," he said. "That's a good sign." She looked at him, her expression softening. "You listen. That's rare among your kind." There was silence. Then she asked, "Why haven't you sold me? Or used me?" Jarek looked away. "Because that's not who I am." She stepped closer, chains still on her wrists. "Then who are you?" He met her eyes. "Someone trying to do the right thing." Kayla smiled just a little, the first real smile. "I believe you," she said. That night, Jarek made a decision. He walked to the command center and accessed the control systems. With his personal code, he unlocked Kayla's restraints. The guards protested. He gave them direct orders to stand down. "I'm not keeping her as a prisoner," he said. "She's free to stay or leave." It caused a scandal. Officers whispered. Reports were filed, but Jarek didn't care. The next morning, Kayla stood in the corridor outside his quarters. No chains, no cuffs, just her. "You freed me," she said. "Yes," he said. "Why?" "Because no one deserves to live in chains." Kayla studied him for a long time. Then she said softly, "Then maybe you're not like the others after all." Jarek smiled. "I hope not." And for the first time, she smiled back. Kayla stood in the hallway of the starbase, her silver hair glowing under the lights, her hands finally free. The heavy metal cuffs were gone. She no longer wore the prisoner uniform, but a plain dark robe Jarek had given her. Around her, humans moved in silence, staring at her with wide eyes. Some whispered. Others turned away. No one spoke to her. Captain Jarek walked beside her. He didn't try to hide her or keep her locked away. He walked with her openly, like an equal. "She shouldn't be out here." Jarek heard the angry voice behind him. A junior officer stepped forward. "She's dangerous, sir. She could attack." Jarek turned calmly. "She's done nothing wrong. If you have a problem, file a report." The officer hesitated but backed off. Kayla gave him a side glance. "You protect me." "Why?" "Because it's right," Jarek said. "And because I trust you." She didn't answer, but the corner of her mouth moved, almost a smile. Later, that day, Jarek gave Kayla access to the base's central library. She walked slowly through the shelves of digital files and glowing screens. Her fingers ran along the edge of a console. "I haven't touched a knowledge vault in years," she said softly. "You were a scholar, right?" Jarek asked. Kayla nodded. "History, language, diplomacy. My people believed words were stronger than weapons." Jarek smiled. "I guess that didn't work out too well, huh?" Her smile faded. "No, not when the galaxy only listens to weapons." She began to read. Hours passed. She absorbed data, analyzed human culture, and studied everything, from starship engines to human law. "Your species is strange," she said at one point. "You destroy, but also create. You fight, but also love deeply." Jarek laughed. "We're a mess, but we try." Kayla looked at him. "You're different from the others I met." He raised an eyebrow. Different how? You ask. Listen. You don't see me as a trophy. I see you, Jarek said, as someone who deserves better. She didn't respond, but her eyes softened. As the days passed, they spent more time together. Jarek showed her the shipyard, the training grounds, and even took her to the observation deck. From there, the stars looked endless. Kayla stood quietly, staring out at the galaxy. I wonder if my people are still alive, she whispered. If they even know I'm here. We can try to contact them, Jarek said. Send a message. It's too dangerous. If the wrong people hear it, she paused. They'll kill them. Jarek was silent. He understood politics, war, secrets. It was a galaxy full of danger. But he made her a promise. We'll find a way. You won't stay lost forever. Kayla nodded. Thank you. One evening, an alarm rang across the base. Red lights flashed. The station shook slightly. Jarek rushed to the command center. Kayla followed. A lieutenant shouted, "Unknown ships approaching! Not responding to hails!" Jarek stared at the screen. 3 small fighter-class ships were heading toward the station at high speed. Get shields up. Prepare for... Before he could finish, the ships opened fire. The base rocked again. Sparks flew from control panels. They're targeting the... Power grid! Someone yelled. Jarek cursed. Return fire! The station's defense cannons roared to life. Kayla watched the screen. Her eyes narrowed. Those ships. They're not random pirates. You know them? Jarek asked. She nodded. Mercenaries. Paid by the trade clans. They want me back. They tracked you here? No. They tracked me to your base. You freed me, so now you're in danger too. Another explosion shook the room. We need to stop them before they board, Jarek said. Kayla stepped forward. Let me help. You sure? She looked him straight in the eyes. I'm not. Your prisoner. I'm your ally. He nodded. Together, they rushed to the hangar bay. Kayla jumped into one of the human combat suits, surprising everyone. She moved like a soldier, even though she had said she wasn't one. You're full of surprises, Jarek said, suiting, up next to her. I was trained in defense, she replied. All scholars in my world are. Remind me not to fight you. She gave him a quick smirk. I'll go easy on you. They launched in a small attack shuttle, heading straight for the enemy ships. Inside the cockpit, Kayla took the weapon system. Jarek flew. As they dodged lasers and enemy fire, Kayla's calm voice guided the shots. Target engines! Disable! Don't destroy! You sure? He asked. They're just tools, like I was. Don't kill them if we don't have to. Jarek nodded. He followed her aim. One by one, the enemy ships were disabled and drifted into space. No deaths, just silence. Back on the station, the crew watched in amazement as the shuttle returned. Kayla stepped out first. Everyone stared. This time, no one saw her as a prisoner. They saw her as a fighter, a hero. Later, in the quiet of his quarters, Jarek looked at her. You saved us, he said. Kayla shrugged. You saved me first, he chuckled. I guess we're even. She walked closer. Not yet. He tilted his head. Oh? Kayla stopped just in front of him. You risked everything by freeing me. Now they'll question your loyalty. They already do, Jarek said. But I don't care. I did what I thought was right. Kayla looked down, then back at him. You could have left me in that room. Let me rot. But you saw me. Not as a threat, not as a reward. Just as me. He smiled. That's what people should do. Her voice grew quiet. You broke my chains, Jarek. Not just the metal ones. The ones inside, too. They stood in silence for a moment. Then she reached out and gently took his hand. I don't know what this feeling is, she whispered, but I don't want to run from it. Jarek looked into her eyes. Neither do I. The days after the attack passed slowly, but the tension on the base didn't go away. Jarek noticed the way some officers looked at him when he walked by. Their eyes were full of doubt. Their voices became quiet when he entered a room. Some people smiled at Kyla now, while others stared at her like she was a time bomb waiting to explode. Even though she helped save the base, many still saw her as an alien enemy. In private, Kyla studied every human reaction. She didn't miss anything. Your people pretend to be peaceful, she said one day. But deep down, many still fear what they don't understand. Jarek nodded. Fear is hard to erase, even when it's wrong. Kayla walked beside him down a quiet hallway. If I stayed in chains, they would have felt safe. Now that I'm free, they feel exposed. Jarek looked at her. Would you rather leave? She stopped walking. No, I'd rather prove I belong. He admired her courage, but he also knew it wouldn't be easy. At the same time, orders from the high command began to change. A message came through Jarek's private channel. It was cold and clear. Alien subject Kayla must be returned to Central Command. Do not delay. Disobedience will be considered treason. Jarek stared at the screen for a long time. He didn't respond. Instead, he closed the message and went to find Kayla. She was in the observation deck again, watching the stars. They want you back, he said quietly. I guessed, she replied. I felt it coming. He took a breath. If I don't send you, they'll come for me. For both of us. Kayla turned to face him. Then we run. Jarek frowned. That's not a simple choice. No, she said. It's not. But it's the only one that keeps us free. Jarek sat beside her. I never thought one decision would change everything. She reached out and touched his hand. Sometimes one choice is all it takes to know who you really are. That night, rumors spread across the base. Captain Jarek is protecting the alien. He's in love with her. He's gone soft. Jarek heard it all. He didn't care. He knew how he felt. And more importantly, he knew what was right. Still, things grew harder. One officer named Commander Voss, who had never liked aliens, began to push back. He filed reports, called secret meetings. He wanted Kayla removed, and he wanted Jarek punished. Jarek was summoned to a formal hearing. The room was full of officers, soldiers, and base personnel. Commander Voss stood at the front. Captain Jarek, you defied a direct order. You freed a known alien rebel. You allowed her access to our systems and even flew into battle with her. Jarek stood calmly. Yes, I did all of that. Whispers filled the room. Voss smiled. Then, you admit your betrayal? No, Jarek said firmly. I admit my choice. She was not a threat. She helped save this station. I would do it again. Kayla entered the room. All heads turned. She walked forward slowly, hands raised, peaceful. I asked for a chance to speak, she said. Voss growled. You are not permitted. But the station commander, a higher-ranking officer, raised a hand. Let her speak. Kayla stepped up beside Jarek. I was given to this man in chains, like property. I came from a world torn by war, but he didn't treat me like an enemy. He gave me food, respect, and freedom. And when I saw this base in danger, I stood beside him to protect it. She looked at the crowd. I may not be human, but I know what honor is. I know what love is, and I know betrayal. Captain Jarek betrayed no one. He stood for what was right. Silence filled the room. Even Voss didn't speak. The station commander finally said, the matter will be reviewed by Galactic Court. Until then, Captain Jarek remains in command. Kyla will not be removed without cause. Jarek and Kyla left the room together. They didn't win the war, but they won the battle. Later, Jarek sat alone in his quarters, tired and deep in thought. Kyla entered quietly. "You stood up for me," she said. "I always will." She sat next to him. "You may lose your career." "I might. They may call you a traitor." "I know." Kayla looked into his eyes. "Then why risk everything?" He gave a small smile. "Because I love you." Kayla's eyes widened. She didn't expect to hear it so soon. But she didn't pull away. She reached out, gently touched his face, and whispered, "And I love you." It was real. It was quiet. But it was enough. In the days that followed, Jarek and Kayla began planning. They had little time. Sooner or later, the Galactic Court would make its decision. Some of the crew supported Jarek. Quietly, they helped prepare a small stealth ship, a way out, just in case. Kayla worked on encryption systems, communication arrays, and silent travel routes. Jarek watched her as she worked. She was fast, smart, and focused. She looked like someone who had been waiting her whole life to be free. "You could have escaped long ago," he said. Kayla looked up. "Maybe. But I needed someone to remind me who I was." "And who is that?" She smiled softly. "Someone who chooses love over fear." Then came the final message. "High Command order. Kayla is to be retrieved immediately. Use force if needed. Captain Jarek is to be arrested for disobedience." There was no more time. That night, under cover of darkness, Jarek and Kyla boarded the stealth ship. A few loyal crew members saluted them quietly before sealing the launch doors. "You sure about this?" Jarek asked. Kayla placed her hand over his. "I'm sure." The engines hummed silently as the ship slipped away from the base, unseen. Behind them, alarms would ring, chasing ships would follow. But ahead of them was open space, freedom, hope, and each other. The small stealth ship glided through deep space, silent like a shadow. Jarek sat at the control panel while Kayla adjusted the coordinates. Behind them, the human military base had gone dark on the scanners. But both of them knew it wouldn't. "Stay that way for long." "They'll send someone after us," Jarek said, his voice calm but serious. Kayla nodded. "Probably many." "You still want to keep going?" "I'm already free," Kayla answered. "Now I want to live free." Jarek looked at her for a long moment. Then he smiled. "We'll need help. We can't run forever." Kayla tapped the screen and opened an old signal code. "I know a place. Hidden world. My people used it long ago. A rebel base." "No," she said softly. "A sanctuary." Jarek changed course. After 2 days of silent flight, they arrived at a broken moon. Its surface was cracked and dead, but hidden beneath it was a living planet shielded by holograms and signal dampeners. It was beautiful, green, quiet, peaceful. They landed the ship near a crystal lake. As they stepped out, Kayla took a deep breath. "It's still here." Jarek looked around. "Are we alone?" "Maybe," she said. "But we won't be for long." Within hours, shapes appeared in the sky. Silent flyers, shaped like birds, hovered above them. Then 3 tall aliens landed nearby. They wore armor made of glowing cloth, and their eyes were deep silver, just like Kayla's. One of them stepped forward. "Kayla of Virel?" Kayla nodded. "I have returned, and I bring a friend." The aliens looked at Jarek, silent and cold. "He's human," one of them said. "We do not trust humans." Kayla raised her voice. "He freed me. He chose love instead of chains." The tallest one gave a small nod. "Then he may speak." Inside the hidden sanctuary, Kayla met with elders of her people. Jarek sat outside, watching the skies, thinking. He knew they couldn't hide forever. Sooner or later, the galaxy would find them. Kayla returned after a long time. They agree to help, she said, but only if we help them too. How? There is a galactic council meeting on a neutral moon, she explained. Many leaders will attend. My people want to send a message, a new voice. You mean you? She nodded. And you, a human standing beside me. Jarek blinked. That will make us both targets. I know, she whispered, but it might also change everything. They left the sanctuary with a new ship, built by the Zentari, sleek, silent, fast. It carried no weapons, only truth. As they reached the council moon, they saw hundreds of ships, from every known species. Colorful flags floated in orbit. Kayla wore her people's colors, a robe of silver and blue. Jarek wore simple black. They walked into the Grand Council chamber hand in hand. The room went silent. A human general stood and shouted, "Arrest them!" Jarek stepped forward. "We are here to speak, not to fight." Kayla raised her voice loud and clear. "I was taken in chains, given as a prize, freed by a man who saw me not as a prisoner, but as a person. Now we stand together, not to beg, but to build peace." Many aliens watched in silence. Others whispered. The human general shouted again. "She is a criminal. He is a traitor." Jarek turned to face them. "If loving someone from another species is a crime, then I am guilty. But I will not be ashamed." Kayla stepped beside him. "You fear love because you only understand war." One of the elder council members, a soft-spoken being with a glowing face, raised his hand. "Let them speak," he said. "Let us listen, for once." Kayla and Jarek told their full story. How she was captured and given as a reward. How Jarek freed her, not because he was weak, but because he was strong enough to choose what was right. They spoke of the mission, the battle, and the escape. They spoke of love, real love, honest love, not built on power or control, but trust and respect. Some laughed, some shook their heads, but others listened. One alien leader from the reptilian Zorkan race stood and said, "I lost a daughter in war. If someone had freed her, I would have called him family." Another leader from the glowing Veyari race added, "We fear what we don't know, but this is new. This is rare." The human general looked angry. "They broke the law." The elder council member replied, "Then perhaps the law is broken." Outside the council building, a crowd had gathered. Word of Jarek and Kayla's story had spread. Journalists, citizens, young aliens of many kinds stood holding signs that said, "Love is not a crime." No more chains. We are one galaxy. The military forces tried to quiet them, but it was too late. A movement had started. Kayla and Jarek were taken to a protected room. Some still wanted them silenced, but others had begun to protect them. That night, Kayla looked out the window. "I never thought I'd live to see this." Jarek stood behind her. "You made it happen." She turned and looked into his eyes. "We did." He took her hand. "Do you regret it? Running, fighting, risking everything?" She shook her head slowly. "No. Because in the middle of a galaxy full of war, I found love." He kissed her gently. "So did I." But danger was not gone. The human military, embarrassed and angry, began to send ships to the council moon. "We'll arrest them," said one general, "or destroy them if we must." The council was forced to act. A vote was called. Should Jarek and Kayla be protected as a punished? The vote passed. Barely. They would be protected. Jarek would lose his title, his rank, and his place in the human fleet, but he would not be hunted. Kayla would be recognized as a free citizen, and their story would be told. They left the council. moon quietly, together. Not as fugitives, but as symbols. They returned to the sanctuary moon, where the stars were calm and the air was warm. There, they began to build a new life, and others followed. Humans, aliens, outcasts, lovers, dreamers, people who believed that love could break chains stronger than steel. The sanctuary moon was quiet beneath the stars. Jarek and Kayla stood on a hill overlooking a small village. The air smelled fresh, mixed with the scent of alien flowers and earth herbs that the settlers had planted. It had been months since they escaped the human military base and the Galactic Council meeting. Their story had spread across many worlds. Some called them heroes, others called them troublemakers. But here, on this hidden moon, they were home. Jarek looked at Kayla, her silver hair shining in the soft moonlight. "Do you remember the day I first saw you in chains?" he asked. Kayla smiled gently. "How could I forget? You looked like you wanted to break the whole system just to set me free." He chuckled. "I almost did." They sat down on the soft grass. Around them, settlers from different species worked. Side by side, humans, Zentari, Veyari, even some Zorkin. The village was growing. Homes were being built, schools started, and a small hospital was under construction. "This is the future," Kayla said. "A place where no one is a prisoner." Jarek nodded. "Where love and respect matter more than power." Life wasn't easy. The galactic powers still watched them closely. Trade clans sent spies. The human military had not forgotten Jarek's defiance. But the sanctuary was protected by powerful technology and a network of allies. One day, Jarek received a message. It was from an old friend in the fleet. "Orders changed," the message said. "You are cleared of all charges. Your rank is restored. The galaxy is watching." Jarek read the message twice. "Looks like the story changed the minds at the top," he said quietly. Kayla squeezed his hand. "You earned it." But Jarek shook his head. "I'm not going back." "Why?" "Because this is where I belong. With you. With people who fight for freedom, not just for orders." Kayla smiled. "I'm glad." The sanctuary was more than a home now. It was a beacon. News of their courage inspired other worlds to question old rules. The Galactic Council began, discussing changes to laws about slavery, freedom, and equality. Kayla was invited to speak in many places, not as a prisoner, but as a leader. Jarek stood proudly by her side always. One evening, under the clear stars, Kayla took Jarek's hand. "There is something I want to show you," she said. They walked to the edge of a cliff. Below them, a river of glowing blue water flowed. "On my world, this is called the River of Stars," she explained. "It's a place of hope, a place where we make promises." Jarek looked at her. "What promise?" Kayla smiled. "That we will never forget where we came from, that we will build a future together, one without chains, without fear." Jarek pulled her close. "I promise." They kissed under the stars. Months turned into years. The sanctuary grew into a small city. Humans and aliens lived and worked together. Children of different species played in the streets, laughing without worry. Jarek and Kayla became symbols of change. Their love story was told in schools, on ships, and in homes. But most importantly, they lived simply, each day choosing to love and protect each other. One morning, Jarek woke to find Kayla already awake, looking out the window. "Good morning," he said softly. She turned and smiled. "Good morning, Captain," he laughed. "Still a captain, huh?" She nodded. "Always." He reached for her hand. "Ready for the next adventure?" She squeezed it. "With you, always." The galaxy was vast and full of dangers, but it was also full of hope. Jarek and Kayla had shown that even in a cold universe, love could shine brighter than any star. And as they looked out at the endless sky, they knew their story was only just beginning.